Good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday, October 6th from the San Antonio Express News. My name is Luis Vasquez, and this is your Express Briefing. All of the stories you need to know to start your day. You can expect sunny skies with a high of 90 degrees in San Antonio today. Yesterday was the last day to register to vote in the November 3rd elections. Hundreds of Bexar County residents showed up to register on Monday. Bexar County is on pace to register 1,175,000 voters, a 12% increase since the last presidential election. Bexar County has already sent out 91,000 mail ballots, but the status of mail-in voting continues to be a contentious issue. A postal union leader testified in a federal lawsuit that managers at the main post office in San Antonio instructed workers to deceive Representative Joaquin Castro about mail delays and destroyed sorting machines. Brian Chasnov has that story at expressnews.com. And now let's move on to our top stories for the day. In an about face, the San Antonio Metropolitan Health District is instructing its case investigators to advise those who lack symptoms of COVID-19 but test positive in an antigen test to isolate and quarantine. That's a shift from last month when case investigators were told to inform such patients that they were not a case. Those were Metro Health's instructions despite the high accuracy of antigen-positive tests, even those without symptoms. The policy had raised red flags for members of a Metro Health contact tracing work group. Mayor Ron Nirenberg called last week for antigen-positive cases without symptoms to be counted as probable and investigated. Metro Health then tweaked the instructions to case investigators. Brian Chasnov explains the latest development in his article, which you can find at the link in this episode's description. San Antonio-based USAA Federal Savings Bank has received a failing grade from a bank regulator over evidence of discriminatory or other illegal credit practices. The Office of the Comptroller of the Currency lowered a USAA bank's overall Community Reinvestment Act performance evaluation rating from satisfactory to needs improvement after uncovering evidence of 600 violations involving customers. The OCC found evidence of 546 violations of the Service Members Civil Relief Act, which provides financial protections for service members. Patrick Danner takes a closer look at the evaluation and how the failing grade marks the latest black eye for USAA Bank. Once the preferred watering hole of downtown San Antonio's movers and shakers, the Cadillac Bar recently closed its doors, another victim of the coronavirus pandemic. While the bar's owners say they hope it will rise again one day in a new location, many of its former clientele are mourning the loss of a place where we would repair on many a Friday afternoon for some adult refreshments after a hard week of work, said former Mayor Phil Hardberger. This past weekend, the San Antonio Bar held a liquidation sale, disposing of years of memorabilia, from dozens of neon beer signs to posters, menus, kitchen equipment, even a vintage Singer sewing machine. Richard A. Marini has more on the bar's history at the link in this episode's description. Columnist Elaine Ayala writes, quote, "It's easy to believe a poll that tells you what you want to hear. Supporters of Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden may be feeling too confident thanks to national and some state polls that show the former vice president ahead. They shouldn't believe them. Neither should supporters of President Donald Trump. The only poll that matters is 28 days away. It will reflect real voters, not just likely ones. If all goes well, the state-by-state tallies will include all votes cast by mail and in person." You can read Ayala's latest column to find out why there are lots of reasons not to believe polls. In recent days, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton has come under fire from 7 of his top aides, who have accused him of bribery and corruption for using his office to benefit an embattled Austin real estate investor. Such accusations are nothing new for Paxton, the state's top law enforcement officer. We have a breakdown of the allegations made against Paxton during his time in office, both as a legislator and as Attorney General. You can find that breakdown at the link in this episode's description. To keep our readers up to date on the path of COVID-19, the Express News has built a dashboard of interactive graphics showing the spread of the virus in the San Antonio area, in Texas as a whole, and across the United States. We've also created an interactive map of San Antonio for COVID-19 testing sites that don't require a doctor's referral. You can find a link to the dashboard and the interactive map in this episode's description. Also, be sure to check out other Express News podcasts such as Poodle Politics, In Depth, and the Express News editorial board. You can find links to those podcasts in this episode's description. Next up are your need-to-know headlines. You can find all of these headlines and more inside your Express News subscription. San Antonio's positivity rate for coronavirus infections dipped below 5% for the first time since a surge of cases slammed the city over the summer, as officials reached a milestone they have been chasing for months. Governor Greg Abbott said on Monday that he'll soon allow more businesses to open amid the coronavirus pandemic, though he did not provide a timeline or any other details. Days after 7 of Attorney General Ken Paxton's top aides accused him of bribery and corruption, the state's top law enforcement officer says he will not resign. U.S. Senator John Cornyn said Monday that President Donald Trump let his guard down on the coronavirus and that the president's rhetoric has created confusion as the country has struggled to get the pandemic under control. According to officials, a dozen alleged associates of the Texas Mexican Mafia were arrested in San Antonio on federal drug trafficking charges. U.S. Attorney John F. Bash III, the chief federal law enforcer for a huge swath of Central and West Texas, is stepping down to pursue a position in the private sector, according to an announcement on Monday. A company affiliated with the Gabriel's liquor store chain has lost a bankruptcy court fight over whether it can transfer its shares to a publicly traded company despite a state law that bans public corporations from holding package store permits. Las Vegas hotel owners believe taking aggressive action can save the area's tourism industry and tens of thousands of jobs. Wynn Resort CEO Matt Maddox wants to open an in-house COVID-19 testing lab by Thanksgiving. You can read more about this story in this week's Wary Travelers column. Campaigns aimed at convincing San Antonio voters in November to put sales tax dollars towards training workers from new jobs, expanding public transit, and continuing the city's early childhood education program raised more than $1 million since July. Democrats have long sought to flip the seat for State Board of Education District 5, and this could be the year that it happens. The Express News editorial board believes welcome change should come with Rebecca Bell Metereau, a film professor with Texas State University. In recommending Democrat Krista Castañeda for Texas Railroad Commissioner, the Express News editorial board writes, quote, "She would serve the public as an excellent industry watchdog, but also as an industry explainer." On Saturday, news broke that 7 of Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton's top aides are accusing Paxton of bribery and corruption. A day later, Selena Montoya, the Democratic nominee of Texas House District 121, called on Paxton to resign. You can hear more on the latest episode of the Poodle Politics podcast. Rob Laguesse's resume reads like a Hollywood script. Navy veteran, mayor, Wi-Fi development team member, and author. A man of many talents, Laguesse credits his accomplishments to working with great leaders and innovators of technology. That, and caring about others around him. Read more about his life and his latest project in the latest installment of San Antonio Stories. San Antonio ISD, South San ISD, and Edgewood ISD opened their pandemic-delayed practices Monday. David Hinojosa gives us a peek into what it looked like and why their start was later than some of their neighbors. Also, find out where your favorite team stands in the latest Express News area rankings and who took home honors for Players of the Week. In this week's Chuck's Food Shack, Chuck Blunt shows you how to cook Cornish game hens. The annual Monarch Butterfly and Pollinator Festival is tagging monarchs with the names of loved ones who died in 2020. With the fall season in full swing, everyone is hopping on the pumpkin-flavored train, including Bill Miller's Barbecue and Taco Cabana. And that's all for today. This was your Express Briefing for Tuesday, October 6th. My name is Luis Vasquez. Please consider becoming an Express News subscriber to get in-depth coverage on all the stories you heard today. Also, be sure to rate and review this podcast inside of your Apple Podcast app, as it really helps the show. Have a wonderful day, everyone.